Thanks, Matt.
Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
We're unmuted?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you all for being here at our March. Couldn't even remember what month it was. March meeting. We'll do roll call. Just go on the
Hall's here.
John Sampson here.
Will Roddybush here.
Chris Mowen here.
Christina Tracy here.
Oh. Do we has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting?
Yeah,
Any-
I had
any
no
comments?
changes.
Didn't either. Fine.
We want a
I'd
motion.
make a motion that we approve the minutes for last month's meeting.
I'll second.
Any opposed? No. All right. Then we have approved minute. Administrative items. We have our April meeting. I know. Where's
That's
the year going? April 25th.
Yeah.
At 4:00, unless there's any objections.
Looks good.
All
Yeah.
right. Great. Well, stick with that. Next on our agenda are our local designation items. The University Hall, is there been any updates?
No
Okay,
further communication there.
okay. Might just be
Uh,
working through some systems or,
Well, we're waiting for them to design a plaque, and I mean, I can make a call and find out how we're doing with that. But I anticipated it would take several months.
Sure.
And I think that's about where we are right now.
Even if you could maybe, if we could see the design, then we'd have an idea of what. Like start
Sure.
maybe proposing for the courthouse.
Right. I'll
If they
I'll write
willing to give
a
us a-
message on that.
draft of.
Okay.
if we have, I can't remember at our last meeting if someone was going to be reaching out to any of our commissioners about the courthouse signage, or if we were still holding on that.
Yeah.
I think we were waiting
We're waiting.
because it depends a bit on results from the university, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I think
So I don't know if we want to continue to wait or at least start the conversation of if they'd be willing to put a sign up. But we can wait until we have more understanding from the
that's
university
what I
on
thought
their,
we see it, if they are willing to give us a design.
yeah,
Like a
Mhm.
drawing of it, even without it being made, but we could start working with the county.
No,
Commissioners on
we're
it.
talking about the courthouse now.
Yeah,
right?
Yes.
yeah. So if we
Okay.
got a draft from the University Hall sign. To show the commissioner, the county commissioner, what. To think about
Mhm.
for a
We'll do
sign.
something similar.
And they might be able to start thinking about location as well.
right. Okay. That sounds good. We'll keep that on the back burner for the moment.
Mhm.
The Boomtown districts. We've been talking about a little bit generally about how this process will work, and then, what specifically that might look like for a North Maple district.
Mhm.
John, do you want to give any
W-
updates?
Well, Chris and I had a short correspondence on this. I don't have any further information. I think the letter that Jeff drafted for us was, as far as I'm concerned, is fine. But
Looking really good.
yeah,
If we add your points, some of your points, of what the positive aspects of the designation would be. Right, because those would be
To the
both in the
letter.
package, but also summarized in the letter. Right?
why we're thinking that is a good
Yeah, and why
location,
it would be good for them to,
and why
for the residents.
Maybe in the letter, you could just say refer to the list. That way you don't have
Okay.
to.
Okay,
all
now
Now that I
bullets.
know that there's a list.
I had drawn up something and I don't know, you were thinking that we might need more information, but I had passed that out last time and this is a little bit of a amended
Oh, okay.
listing of advantages. And then I just picked out a few obligation and rules and put on here also a link for the our preservation code, if they would want to review the entirety. I think putting too much information is not valuable either because they probably won't look at it too carefully.
Strong.
But this is a listing of advantage supporting a historic district, and it includes the National Register talking about the value of historic neighborhoods, and also providing community pride, tax incentives, reconnects with the community, revitalizes neighborhoods, protects the uniqueness of neighborhoods and downtowns, and so forth. And then the obligations and rules, I thought the important points, and maybe if we can revise this, just talking about how renovations might be allowed without or with a COA, and talking about the altering or demolishing a listed property. It's not allowed. We would impose a fine on that. No owner of any listed property within a designated historic overlay shall willfully or by benign neglect fail to provide reasonable care. And then just a quick thing about landscaping. Now, Chris, were you thinking we needed more detail than that?
I don't know if we want, like you said, I don't think we need to be giving a hefty packet. What I think we need in our back pockets are, and some of this could just be in the FAQ document, but what our preservation code refers to the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation. Now that document itself is still vague until you get into the Secretary of Interior standards guidelines, which outline more in depth. Those are technical briefs, and even sometimes my eyes glaze over. So I'd hate to direct our community to something like that that's pretty technical. I think what we want to do is kind of boil it down to, so our community understands if I have, say, my house has wood siding and asphalt shingle roofs right now. If I needed to put a new roof on my house, what are we as a commission going to approve? What kind, if I need to replace my siding, what kind of, because I think those are going to be a lot of what our community wants to know. Okay, if I do this, what's going to be the burden on my end within the COA process?
Alternative.
Yeah, so because I think it's important that we all understand and that our community understands we're not here to be cumbersome to their, properties. We're just here to make sure our historic fabric is, celebrated. So
are you suggesting we give samples of?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I think not necessarily in the packet, but I think it needs to be something that we have ready to go. So when the questions come in,
I see.
there are concrete answers. So there's no confusion or, misinformation that starts spinning out of control. We want to be able to say, no, we're not going to tell you what color you can paint your house, right?
Right.
We're going to tell you if it's painted brick, you can keep it painted. If it's not painted brick, don't paint it,
Maybe not.
Something just
something very similar to that.
came to mind while we're sitting here talking. And you talked about possibly putting like an outline together for guidelines. Something that just clicked in my head was like even using the Secretary of Interior's document as the outline. In other words, if it's citing, like looking at the specific organization of the secretary's book so that you could use the
So
same
it's mirrored.
outline. That's right. And then we go say siding, we could
Yeah.
refer to specific things in. Yeah, that would save you coming up with a whole fresh
Yeah.
outline,
Yeah,
you know, see if it works. I mean, I think it probably does because it's into bricks and it gets into all kinds of.
right. So, and obviously, at some point, we'll probably have an entire sort of almost every community that has a CLG has a guideline book because, you know, as the commission moves on, people tend to, you know, that's how you're going to learn about COAs and what's appropriate, and what may not be. But I don't know if we need to be in that much of the weeds right now.
Mhm.
I had last year I'd started saying, you know, we have two different things we need to address. One is material replacement. You know, if I have this, what can I replace it with? And the other one is, well, what is historically significant? You know, we have historic homes that have aluminum siding or vinyl siding already. So what does that mean if they want to replace that? But also what's appropriate for my house, a Queen Anne, would be very different than what's appropriate for a 1920s craftsman, you know, so that's the other side of it, is outlining what material needs need to be met. And then if I'm looking at my house, just understanding what would be historically significant about the style of the property. So I'd started that last year and kind of came up with the outline draft, and that was like 14 months ago, and it hasn't moved since. So
And
I
that,
brought a copy of that.
now, was that kind of the booklet that you were planning to create last year? I know you had talked about that.
So-
Maybe this is exactly what you're
I
describing.
think it could be the start. And if we need to get into, I'd forwarded you all the city of Worcester, or do you say it Worcester?
It's actually,
Worcester.
Yes.
Sure.
Um,
and it's beautiful. I really like it.
they have
Yeah.
a great guideline book. It's, you know, over 100 pages. It goes into a lot of
Yeah,
depth.
it's
That's-
very detailed.
I don't think that's something we're going to be able to accomplish in the near future, but having something that, yeah, to start with it. Yeah, and we can build on it as we can, or I know frequently communities will use the CLG grant to hire someone to write their guidelines. So maybe that's something we think about in the future as well. But
No, this looks great for the moment.
Yeah.
Thank you for,
I think,
that.
like I said, it addresses, if you have existing fabric, what does that look like? When we get into additions and major renovations, that might be something that isn't quite yet addressed in here.
I
But-
feel like based on the Worcester guidelines, I feel like you could combine documents in some sort of way. I feel like this first document is a little bit more PR.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, it's more like, instead of like advantages, more like, here's our philosophy, here are the
Yeah.
resources, here's how we're doing, you know, and I feel like, you know, and I had mentioned this to Chris, I think the word guideline kind of insinuates and rules insinuate can and can't do certain things. I feel like if you're pitching it right to the community, it's more of like a, hey, here's what is historically relevant to your home, and here's how you could improve that. I think it's more of a spin on it, if that makes sense. That's my take on it. I feel like these two things go together.
Yeah.
But I think it starts with the philosophy and what's the benefit to the community. I'm starting here.
Yeah.
And just like the Worcester document starts out that way, right? Purpose and philosophy of it. They have like, what, there's 6 objectives, right? And I feel like that's okay. Historic Preservation Commission has specific objectives and what we're trying to achieve. That's how these, you know, we're calling them guidelines right now. That's how these guidelines can support. Help you, I
Yeah.
guess.
that's fine. I'm just trying to think how to combine them together.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
And
the
it-
Worcester, like a perfect example of it.
Okay, where is the Worcester? Is that?
I
that-
didn't print it. It's 111 pages.
Okay.
So I just
you
emailed it.
mentioned that. I know.
Full color, very beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd sent it, I think it was used as an example in a seminar I went to this fall. But I forwarded that on again yesterday or this morning, maybe.
Where I went to copy and I realized I already had it.
Oh, great.
So I didn't look at the date you sent it.
Yeah.
I looked at the
Um,
dates were the same.
so there's probably between what John put together, the creation, the advantages document, and the FAQs and this document that it put together last year, there's probably some overlap between those, and maybe they can all be combined into one sort of, a nice, like Stina said, like a philosophy summary, and then some more supporting. And maybe this just becomes boiled down to an FAQ for now. A little bit longer FAQ, but
And then we had talked about a map also,
Yeah.
which I think that would be, although it's only 2 blocks long, it might be good to put that in.
yeah, I think if we're presenting it to council at some point anyway, they'll need a map. It might be useful to, again, someone on South Maple might hear, oh, they're doing a Maple district and not realize that they're in it, and maybe they want to be, so just letting people know this is what we're looking at for right now. I think we talked about, for the most part, most of the properties I think can be a contributing structure, except probably the cities. Is that water?
Water.
What is it called?
Municipal.
Public Works.
Public
Yeah,
Works building, and then the salon at the end of.
Yeah.
At the corner.
And the cleaners.
Dry clean.
So it's like you said, pretty simple map. I even for when I'm doing draft National Register nominations, I just draw on Google Maps. So until I can get someone with some GIS knowledge, because that's not me. So I think even something as simple as a Google map, with some a boundary, and then maybe 2 different colors, one contributing and one non-contributing.
Who did the FAQs? Was that from you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was. So I sent one out maybe in January or February.
I think this is probably the copy, unless you did an updated one.
And is that the same one that you sent me in an email?
I
just
think
with
so.
a
Yeah.
heading on it?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
great. Yes. I have not made updates to this. If you
Okay.
all would take a look at and see if there are other questions you think might come up.
They're pretty good, I think.
Okay.
I was happy with them.
There's always this balance of, do we put all the information in the FAQ, or do we direct them to our ordinance? I know I'd outlined the, what makes it a historic property, and all those different elements. That's pretty well spelled out also in our ordinance, but sometimes people don't want to have to go to 3 different documents to find that information. So I'm open to others' opinions.
Just refer to the one.
Yeah.
Use that. Your answer is refer to.
Some of these, how does the process work? And, I said it was outlined in here and kind of gave a summary.
I was just doing on this little 1 page that I gave you. The obligations and rules, I tried to list where that could be found.
Yep.
So they can, if they want to do it, they can go
Exactly.
directly to that. And I suppose we could do that with the FAQs
Yeah.
also. And that wouldn't be too hard to do. So what do you would like to combine these, or you think we need like a cover page, which could kind of be the advantages,
Mhm.
and then maybe your page on the materials and the one you just gave us, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to
thinking-
think of the simplest way to do this.
I know.
And not get bogged down for another 2 months on figuring out.
I think, And we could just do the FAQ document and then have something that directs you to, I think once this materials and styles gets completed, it might end up being, what is it right now? 6 or 7 pages. By the time this gets done, it might be double that. So it may not be something we want to include in a packet. Maybe we just have a PDF on our website.
Yeah, that's really moving in the direction of the Worcester.
Right.
Because it's, even though it's shorter, it's got the same extent of information.
Yeah. But that could just be an FAQ. What, if there's specific things, where can I look for that? And we can direct them to a specific document.
In which case, we wouldn't give them this now. We would just say, look it up and we'll have a introductory 1 page of some sort.
Right. Describing it, and then we can go into depth. I just think it'd be really, I want to make sure we have a good understanding of what, what regulations might occur, so that when questions are asked, we can just go right to a document and say, look, right here on this, page, it says this.
Yeah.
So there's no confusion later.
I like the, I just picked out a few simple things, but I like the outline that you have so far on this, because if I was an uninformed owner, I would want to know, well, I'm going to need a new roof pretty soon.
Right.
How much trouble is this going to be for me to go in front of the Historical Preservation Commission and get this approved? So that tells me right there, maybe I need to, maybe I don't, right?
Right.
I may not need a COA. And I think that's really valuable.
And I have to go back, and I know we kind of say like minor repairs, and then obviously maintenance, that's something that won't need a certificate of appropriateness. So I think that's also something that we want to continue to reiterate, which I know is in the advantages document as well as the FAQs. I'll make sure that's clear in here as well, in the whatever we want to call this document.
The Chris Moen standard of excellence.
But yeah, I think for the most part, like I said, we're not here to make it complicated or
Encourage historic.
exactly. We want people to be taking care of their historic fabrics. We have it for a long time.
So what if I would create a kind of a introductory, here's what we're doing and here's the advantages, and not list any of the rules, and then we have probably just a link that would take them to what you prepared or will be preparing.
I think we could probably include the FAQs.
And then have that on a separate sheet.
Yeah, behind this, your cover with the advantages. And this information that we have as obligations and rules is covered within the FAQs, and then still have that information.
Yeah.
Some of this is blank. You'll see, because I have yet to go back and find this information. So this obviously is not a document that's ready for final editing or anything, but
What if this sheet was in 3 parts? So you have this, and in the middle, you just have reference to the actual ordinance, and whether it's some of the bullet items, and then my third thing would be just a reference to something that's being developed. In other words, not even worried about
Finishing it.
That's right.
Yeah. Just
'cause
saying,
it's got too many things that need information, for them to see it right now, I think. But even just a reference that it's being developed by the HPC for your use in maintaining
And you're
the
saying-
qualities of your house.
is your suggestion we don't even put out a draft copy?
I don't, I think like do this and then like where you have about the obligations, but then you refer to the ordinance. And it may be specific things in the ordinance, like, you refer to the ordinance with its overall number, 158,
Mhm.
and then you have maybe some bullets like major renovate, whatever, like say here, major reservation, not requiring. And you could say something, or the COA comes 15807. It would be just a handful,
So your suggestion is to leave this at pretty
Yeah.
much as is, maybe add some more
but maybe
points.
take this off. Just even condense it.
The-
So that you're referring them to
Ordinance
the
rules.
ordinance. Let them look at the ordinance to read, what's it say about landscaping shall be provided. Not even maybe have that, but it may say landscaping. And then you cover it's in 15909.
So just some
Mm,
bullet
Bullets,
points with
yeah,
one word
yeah.
or two words.
Because you don't, that way you're not trying to
You have to describe
copy
it.
it from the ordinance. You
Yeah.
just, maybe it's the heading of the ordinance, like what's the heading
Yeah.
for landscaping and maintenance? 159 blank blank or whatever.
Right.
That way it's all in one sheet. It's got three parts and one has the ornament and a third part would be the what's being developed by the HPC
But-
for your,
And then we'd have the FAQs, which would be, and we'd still do that, right?
then that could
think
be
so.
the
A separate
separate, yeah.
Okay.
Separate
Yeah.
sheet, and then we have a little map and
Yep.
maybe that's enough.
This is a work in progress.
right. My only concern with not having some of this for some people to refer to is, we all can sit here and give our how, we're interpreting our ordinance and the guidelines, Secretary of Interior standards and, what could or couldn't be done to a property. But if someone's just trying to find information, they might not necessarily be reaching out to us. So if we don't have a document like this, are they going to be scared about what it all entails? Does that make sense? And that's why I thought
Well,
I don't want someone to be scared off by not having information.
Right. and I think Will has a really good point, but we could also include this and say it's in progress.
Right.
It's in progress and
This
this
is
is what, this
the
is
date on it.
Document.
Put a date on it. This is,
just, we want you to have a sample of what
Right.
we are doing, and we're, within the next couple of months, we hope to have that completed, but I think that might make them, it would make me feel a little bit better if I'm not going to do a lot of research on this. If I were a homeowner, I'd think, oh, it's a good idea, or it's a bad idea, and give me a few facts.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of people will do some research, but I probably wouldn't.
Okay.
I think the facts and questions, I think the FAQ and this document go together with a link, say, if it's on the website, right, with a link, say, make sure to see our most recent list of materials, right, that are live on our website, right?
Yeah. Most recent, that's
Right,
our living document of.
right. That's another way of
Yeah.
saying like it's a living
didn't
document.
even
We're gonna
say
be-
your input is.
Right.
was-
Yeah, yeah. So those two things go together with the link, and then maybe, showcasing that like this is the most recent and up-to-date document as it relates to materials. That way you're, it's expected that it's a live document.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to handle it. I think that's probably something that I think Heather mentioned this all has to be run by legal.
Yeah.
So we'll just want to make sure that there's no issue with doing this, sort of living document as well, but.
So how should we do it, Chris?
I think I like Will's idea of sort of, you've got, I think, advantages, just noting, here's our code. Maybe we just change the headline and heading of that instead of obligations and rules. It just says, just the link to our code, and then, your bullet points are maybe, you're thinking they just maybe need to be
So
trimmed
few
down.
words, maybe the heading of the actual ordinance section.
Yeah, and then the FAQs, unless,
Because the ordinance would be at the website also, right? They could refer to it,
How they could refer to the ordinance or to the more
Mm.
compact
the material.
yeah,
list. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we give them two links.
two links
mm,
to the ordinance. Yeah.
ordinance and then to this document.
Well, Chris, let me suggest that I retool that upper half and you maybe could do the bottom part and or we could have somebody else do it, but just work that down so it's not too scary. And that it could still be all in one page perhaps, or we can have two different pages.
Yeah.
And then take kind of Christina's suggestion of put the FAQs along with that
Mhm.
and the links to go with it.
Yeah. And then I have to refer back to our ordinance, but is the Worcester had sort of the philosophy, and I think
Right.
we have some of that at the beginning of our ordinance as well. So we might want to even copy some of that
Yeah, and
you
I
know,
think the advantage
bit
is the
verbiage.
way it's organized. We'd also say just, here are our objectives. Here's what the commission is trying to, here's how we're trying to help, right? I think it just needs tailored a little bit towards more of a PR pitch like that.
Mhm.
Maybe you should write it, Christina.
It's already been written for Worcester.
We can just steal it.
Yeah.
Just steal it.
Well, we don't want to be
No,
plagiarizing, right?
no, of
Yeah.
course not.
Most sincere form of flattery.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
get out the thesaurus and
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think if we can kind of, like I said, sort of add in those items we feel like on what we'll call our advantages and philosophy maybe page. And then we can send that over to Heather and with the FAQs and this living document, whatever we want to call this, and see what legal thinks of it. Get that ball rolling.
Okay.
What I'll do is I'll look at your materials sheets and compare it to the Secretary of Interior's document. Their organization, just to
Yeah. See if it,
kind of compare them and,
yeah.
Good.
And if you have, like I said, some of these
yeah.
stuff,
I'll look
I
at their
don't, I don't have it.
No, and I
have
may
an
look through
idea
there and
what-
see if it's got things on that
Yeah,
specifically. and I
if you
can
want to
edit it
add
out.
to it, that would be.
I'll look at that part.
And then I think I just ran out of steam when it came to the styles. I got through the
I didn't know there were too many. No.
Victorian eras and into the revivals, and the revivals are all blank at the moment, but so those all eventually need to be updated as well. Some of these I'm not sure we have in Bowling Green. I don't know if we have any
Prairie.
streamlined modern buildings.
There's a
Mhm.
prairie style, but I
But-
think it's probably from the year 2000.
Oh, really? So some of that can probably be dwindled down if we don't have any Spanish colonial. That might be, we might, I just kind of throwing out ideas, but
Very good.
could I clarify for the minutes then, we're talking about what we're going to send to the residents or the owners on North Maple, the cover letter, what we're now calling the advantages and philosophy page.
Yeah.
And the FAQs.
And the FAQs.
That's what's going in.
and a map.
And a map,
And
yes.
links.
Yes. So the
Mhm.
advantages and philosophy page will have a link to the ordinance and to this materials and styles document.
And the map. So,
So-
Martha,
Yes.
Will you be taking over for Heather or are you just here today?
No, Heather's freshman in high school daughter had her first home softball game today, her first
Oh.
softball game in high school ever
Okay.
today.
Oh, that's-
So Heather
Okay.
is at the game, and so I'm just staying.
Okay,
Mhm.
great.
She did leave me some notes, so
Well, maybe we could ask Heather to prepare the map for us, unless one of us
we can get a
is
map
good
for
at
you.
it. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
We probably let the limits of what you're looking from Worcester up to the end of North Maple.
Right,
Yeah,
Right.
up to
Yeah,
the city park.
this-
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're right.
Yep.
The North Maple.
We can do a meet.
If we could, if anyone has any other edits after the meeting today, if you could let, John or myself know on the FAQs or this advantage document, and then I think it would be nice if before our April meeting, if Heather could get the ball rolling on a conversation with legal.
Good.
See how quickly we can.
Our legal
Good.
is in-house now. We have
Yeah.
that turn.
Yeah.
That makes it a little easier.
So shall we set a deadline
A
for
deadline?
any,
That's what I
any,
was wondering.
suggestions? 2 weeks from,
Maybe
Mm-hmm.
we could prepare something to share with all five of us and
In an
then,
email.
is that what you mean?
yeah. So
Maybe
so
if
that,
there's a draft and a turnaround time.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
For review
Yeah. We can shoot for 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, that would be
for the
great.
draft.
Yeah. I think I can do it.
Okay.
I'm going to New Orleans tomorrow
Oh,
for a few days, but I think it'll be fine.
and I can see what else I can get accomplished in this doc before that gets sent out. Yeah.
Maybe we can work on the letter together a little bit.
mhm.
Great.
That sounds good. So we all have our homework for the next couple weeks for that. Next on our agenda are the buildings of the month. So we have trying to find my,
So she gave me a couple of
List.
notes on this.
okay, great.
The Milliken was in the city e-news last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Really
a nice,
interesting. It's a
nice
nice
article.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next one is 307 West Worcester, which is the Frony Milliken House,
Yeah.
which is where Naders live now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. After the Frony Milliken House, we have the South Main School slated. Is that
I'm
something you're
almost,
still?
I'm
able-
almost done.
Okay,
actually.
great.
Yeah, I have been in contact with the most recent tenants who are no longer
Yeah.
in there because the building has no water and no electricity at the moment.
Okay.
The most recent tenants are called Fringe Paranormal Investigations. And
I
but
thought
they
you were
were-
going to say there were no more paranormal activity, and that's why they.
I don't think that's why
I-
they had to move out.
Yeah.
Maybe on the contrary, maybe that's what drove them out.
Yeah.
Um, but the fellow from Fringe Paranormal gave me the name and contact information of the owner, the current owner who was in California. So I think I'll write him. Maybe not mention a name in the my write-up, but
Yeah.
find out from him. I think he tried to sell it. I found on one of those sites, it wasn't Zillow, it was another one. And a description of it and all the things you could do with it,
Yeah.
make it into a hotel or whatever. But that was that advertisement is no longer
Oh,
valid,
active.
right? It's
Mhm.
there, but it's not for sale at the moment. So I got a lot of information and a lot of background information. The people from Fringe Paranormal actually did quite a bit of serious research on the building. And
Oh,
so I
great.
was able to use some of theirs. I wrote him to say, where did you get this? And he said, well, we went to the archives and we went to the
Yeah.
public library. And
Yeah.
so,
I'm excited for that one. I think we have quite a few community members who probably have been in the building,
Yeah.
went to,
Yeah.
had some class of some sort in that building. I think originally it was an elementary school, but I don't
Yeah.
remember what it was when it closed.
It was
the middle.
after they closed it as an elementary, the school board leased it to Lake Erie Arts Council.
Oh, cool.
And so there was a common space there. It was called the South Main Common Space
Mhm.
with studios. There was a dance studio. And I have a whole
Some
list of
sort
what
of
was in there.
artist co-op or
but then-
something.
Yeah, but then they all had to move out because the city decided to sell it in 2000. Was just working on all of
That's
it.
okay. We'll all get to read
Yeah.
it in May. Yeah. But thank you for working on that. After that, we have the Cornbull Morgenthaler house. That's actually my house, so I have that slated to get
Good.
done. The children's home that's on West Worcester Street, and then the Clazel in August. I don't have anything September through December. If anyone wanted to volunteer to write up anything at the end of the latter half of the year.
It occurred to me that St. Aloysius would be a possibly interesting building for this purpose.
Yeah.
You might get some choices. Heather gave me the folder that has the all the applications for people who,
For the yard
for
signs.
for the yard signs.
Yeah.
You might find some in there
Mhm,
because
mhm.
there's some
Yes.
really detailed things about the
Great.
houses.
Oh, good.
So
Yeah,
you might find some in there that you,
that'd be, yeah. That's great.
I'll pass it.
Chris, have you put your house up for a sign?
Yes. I
Okay, good,
have. Yeah.
good.
So maybe I'll I can add how do you say it?
St.
Aloysius.
Aloysius. Yeah.
Aloysius.
Just put St. Al's.
St.
I say
Well, I know
house.
what you mean.
We can, put that in one of the months and then
What was the
reach
age
out
of
to
that
our-
church?
The age,
Yeah.
it was built in the 1920s,
Okay,
okay, great.
but maybe 10 years ago, they uncovered the frescoes.
Yeah.
Which are really beautiful frescoes, original, that they had just painted over.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
it has an interesting history
Great.
there. I
Yeah.
could even ask my wife, who is a member of the parish, she might want to write something up, but there's a lot of information that I'm seeing in this
Mhm.
folder that Martha has handed on. So I think we should start with these.
Great. Yeah, that would be useful to keep that rolling throughout the year. I thought it might be kind of fun to do something about the cemetery in October
Hmm.
for,
Halloween.
the spooky season. I don't know much about cemeteries, but I probably do some reading up.
I don't know if I know a lot about cemeteries, but I go to cemeteries on purpose, But I also know someone who has gone around and made contributions, systematic contributions to find a grave. Do you know that website?
Yes.
And I could ask her, she's a recently retired English professor, if she might be interested in that, if you want me
Would
to.
be
That would be good.
like a Bridge Street Cemetery.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Oh. Not just
Probably still some people.
Probably are right behind my house,
Garden.
closer to your house.
Great. Well, at least we've got, a few more ideas for the rest of the year, so that's really helpful. Hopefully our community members are enjoying those write-ups. I know I am. but. All right, the interpretive signage project, that grant was submitted, so a big thanks to Heather
Yeah.
for all her work on that. I don't think we'll hear back for about another month if we're awarded. And then, then the real fun begins of creating, templates and finding the history and all of that. So we'll just kind of wait and see when we can hear from the preservation office if we're awarded. Our public relation items, I just wanted to note, we did have that, the Wood County District Library had the Boomtown Homes and non-walking tour earlier this month. I wasn't able to attend, but I'd heard it was interesting. I don't know if anyone was able
Wasn't-
in the room was able to attend.
Dick went.
Did
and
you
Heather
go,
went.
Dick? Oh, great. I like, it's,
Yes.
oh, great. It's great that they give those options, colder months or, if you're not
Yeah.
at the, moment unable to do a walking tour, these are always great things to have. For our future events that we're helping to promote, we have the Wood County Museum has their Easter egg scavenger hunt, April 3rd through 7th. The library has their introduction to the local historic resources on April 17th at 2 p.m. You can register on their website. Our audio tour is still slowly moving. I think he got a little, so Ted, who was working on that audio tour, he does this as a hobby. So I think he got bogged down in his 9 to 5 and hasn't been able to make as much progress as he hoped. But I'm still hopeful that we can have something out by Preservation Month, but because he's doing it on his spare time, I can't put too much pressure on. We just appreciate that what he's working on. So for Preservation Month, we have the yard sign. So I just wanted, obviously everyone in this room knows about it. Just to call out to the community. The registration will be open through April 7th. And
She has 15 so far.
we have,
and
15.
Would love to have a lot more than that. She's
Yeah.
reached out to all the past historic buildings of the month people to try to
Great.
get them to do it. But she did want people to just tell your friends, tell your family.
Yes. Yeah. Tell your neighbors and your friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's, you do it online and you upload a picture. And then Hallie Williams, who works here, who does a lot of our publicity type stuff, has been working with someone to do the walking tour, a tour itself, where when you do the QR code, it'll bring up, it'll
A map.
kind of look like this. I'll pass this around. This is just a mock-up of what it's going to be, but it's got little push pins for all the places where they are. And then as you're standing in front of one, it's got a picture of the house and the description that people are giving us. So it's really cool and it's very interactive.
Mhm.
And you could just walk in a neighborhood, and if it's got the sign, just dink and
Yeah,
read
and
about it.
it's not difficult to put this together. I mean,
Right, it's
I know
very
you-
easy.
Chris, you did it, and I just did mine
Mhm.
a couple days ago, and I mean, it takes an hour or so. If you have the information
Right.
about your house.
And I think that might be a little bit make some people nervous if they don't know the information. Obviously, we have great resources at the library and the museums and genealogy. There are resources here, but even last week, Heather sent an email, hey, they're not sure what style house this is. Can you help out? And so I'm happy to help with those sorts of questions as well. If anyone has questions, they can reach out to Heather. She can send them in the right
And
direction.
that's indicated on the application that you you don't have to know all those things. right?
Yeah, right, right. Any
And
information is great.
And Heather's actually doing them for some people
Yeah.
to help them get through it if they're not tech savvy
Right,
or
exactly.
they just don't know what to do. She's assisting them.
That's great. Yeah, it'd be nice to see these in all across town. I think it would also be great to see them in storefronts downtown if any of the any of the retail shops or the building owners want to, would be okay with that because there's plenty of history there too. So it'd be great to see them all over. I'm not sure if we have any other ways we're getting, within the next week, if there's any other announcements being made to community members. So just kind of keep spreading the word where you can. We were talking about a Tell Your BG history session during Preservation Month as well. So Chris and I were talking about what that could look like. I'm not sure if May is going to be doable. You
Yeah,
think?
I mean, I think we could do it in May if we wanted to. I mean, it depends on where we wanted to do it. It talked a couple different places.
Yeah. But we were discussing this as maybe, it'd be great if we could launch it in May, but maybe something that happens every few months is, just a way to bring people out and engage in those
Yeah,
conversations.
it might even be a
continuously.
distraction from the things that we're already doing in May,
That's what
right?
you and yours do.
Will not be held this May.
But,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, so maybe quarterly is what we're, thinking
Yeah.
something that would get,
People expect it. It's on their calendar. Something that happens
Exactly.
on a regular fashion. Thing like quarterly is what we were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think, and maybe it's something we can announce during Preservation Month. Hey,
Yeah.
by the way, we have this event
Yeah.
coming in,
Mhm.
August or whatever we can
It's a great idea.
get that. So we'll talk a little bit more about what those dates could look like.
Yeah.
And then the workshop panel on historic preservation tax credits, that's something that just due to availability of the panel members, that will hopefully be happening this fall. So there's a couple people in particular I think would be useful to have, and I just haven't gotten dates from them yet. But
Chris, is that an in-person or is that
Like,
virtual?
I think we could probably do both. Maybe in person where either live streamed or recorded for future. I guess it doesn't have to be in person. I think I just feel like there's a little bit more engagement.
Oh.
Especially when, you get to ask more questions and you're in front of those people sitting right in front of you. So as soon as I get dates, I'll throw those out and see where we can get that on the calendar.
is that a different format than the information session we had before?
Yeah.
It's more of a hands-on, working on actual.
It was
issues.
I envisioned it kind of like a panel discussion. We would bring in some developers from surrounding areas who have gone through the process before.
Right.
They could tell a little bit about, what their building was and what that entailed. And then I was going to walk through the state scoring and how that kind of works. Just so there's some understanding of that. But yeah, it would be more of just examples of real
Yeah,
life
yeah.
situations.
Now that you say that, I think I put much of that in the minutes the last. time.
Yeah, yeah. SHPO has a ton of information that they can share with us when they do those informational sessions. But sometimes it's nice to just be able to talk to someone who's, you know, spent their own money on a building and knows what, you know,
Nothing at the beginning and went through it.
yeah, yeah, get their perspective on it. And then we are also talking with SHPO about a building doctor workshop. So that is something our preservation office puts on. It's a 2-day work session. The first day is a more seminar style overview of common maintenance type things for historic buildings, you know, ways to repair things. And then day 2 is actually hands-on. You go to a building and you know, get to experience what it's like to repair a plaster wall or fix a window or, you know, things of that nature. They seem to do them quarterly. They kind of, you know, have to spread them out based on their availability.
So I have some information about that. Heather asked if you guys could give us some date options. July or fall is what Andy at SHPO was
Mhm.
looking at. They have one already planned in June. So July through October, except the middle of August through the first week in October. So September is out.
Right.
So she was just looking for a couple. I mean, do you think do you want a Monday, Tuesday? Do you want a Wednesday, Thursday? You want a Thursday, Friday?
Right.
And then some possible date times. And I think August 18th is probably bad for most of Bowling Green. So it's just as well that they can't do it then.
Yeah.
There's a few other things going on then. Do you think summer or fall?
Does anyone have strong opinions?
Fall would probably be more attendance. Summer,
Summertime, people are traveling. And
traveling.
you're thinking?
Yeah, for the university, of course, summer is better because we're not,
You have less.
not working.
Yeah.
We're working, but we're not at the university so much. So I think I don't think we can win on that. We're gonna, whatever we pick, we're gonna lose people.
Yeah.
Does it need to be weekdays, not weekend?
They do only Monday to Friday.
Okay.
Right.
Like
Thursday. Yeah, I was gonna say Thursday, Friday. I think
Okay.
we'll probably get the
summer.
Yeah.
best attendance.
You could probably do one of these.
I probably could. I could take over to my house and do one like building cracks.
Yeah.
You have work that needs to be done and there you go. So do a Thursday, Friday, either
think-
July or October. You don't think.
I need to be a building hospital.
The July through October. If we were thinking summer, we would, you know, July or first 2 weeks of August, although we also have county fair first week of August, so maybe we just kind of look at July.
Okay.
If we want to do a summer option. And we'll also need to be coming up with where this day 2 could take place. I can get more information from Andy if there's specific.
You talked
Things we
about
should be
where
looking at.
we would do like the first day workshop.
Where we would be doing the second day, the hands-on.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It could be one building that has a lot of items to check off or, well, he said, they'll look at multiple buildings within a 5-mile radius, which I think is most of, I think all Bowling Green's about a 5-mile radius. So, you know, if it's this property for windows and this property for masonry and this, you know, I think they're open to that if it's pretty well organized.
So do they actually do work or just talk about doing work?
No, it's hands-on. They'll show you how to
The-
repair something.
Okay.
South
Yeah.
Main School needs roof repairs.
Yeah. right.
It's
Not too
probably-
bad.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
Huh.
but it probably needs plaster repair, if it needs roof repair.
You know,
Right.
the woodworking that's.
Yeah.
deteriorated,
Yeah,
Lets water in,
right,
which creates more damage.
exactly. Oh, no.
Well, I'll let her know a Thursday, Friday, and either July or October.
Yeah.
She can think about where you guys can give her some suggestions.
Yeah,
Probably the first day in here, if it's available.
right,
Depends on when it is.
right. Um,
Second part of potential.
Probably in this room, we can
I know,
we take care of that problem.
we could all use some help, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's, that'll be another great program to provide our community.
Do they have things on their website about this, Chippo? Do you think
Yes.
about the house doctor?
Yes, I can send the link to the house
Building
doctor.
doctor? If you
Mm,
would,
yeah,
if
building
you
doctor.
would. That'd be great.
Great. That's the end of our public relation unless anyone has any other educational items I missed on our agenda. Then we're on to lobby visitation. Anything from? Nothing today. All right. You have a picture to share.
building when it was a furniture store,
Masonic.
and I'm trying to date this, I have 2 pictures. This is the Gigolo that burned down in, I can't remember what year, 78? Sorry. That's right.
Thought that was the Poe Road one?
Road, yeah.
I thought that was in the
Yeah.
late 60s, wasn't it? Oh, was
In
it?
the
Okay.
70s.
I was in Columbus, happened at Columbus, well, that was 75. Well, anyway, the Gigolo's there. So before that, and Howard's was there. So.
Hmm.
And then there was one before that. Here it is. One's a little older. We noticed the signage on our building. We have sign, and this is the one before that sign. And then the previous one had these round globes, and that's different. So this one's older. and-
Now we're talking about your house,
No,
your
no, this
home,
is the Masonic
oh,
Temple.
the Masonic,
The
okay.
Wood County Furniture Company.
Huh.
The name of it.
I remember the furniture sign painted on the side, right? But it's been covered by aluminum siding, I think. Am I thinking? Oh, is it still?
That
Oh,
was the original. See, what do you?
okay.
This,
Oh. Okay.
On the Sunday morning show, there was a couple. They've passed away, but their black and white photography exhibits were being shown, and they're unbelievable photographs. I did tinker in black and white, and what it was a lot of the industrial buildings that are monster. Like if you've seen some industrial plants, they're the piping and everything, and what they're doing was saying they're gone. So I started thinking, well, what if we were to do something like that in Bowling Green. Like if we could show some photographs somewhere, whether it's in a lobby or someplace, but of actually showing things that are no longer there.
Mhm.
I iPadded the water tank being cut up into pieces
Mm.
and removed.
Oh,
And I thought, yeah, I have a video of watching them torch it and yeah. But I started thinking of plants or buildings, a Heinz plant and things like that, of actually
Mhm.
putting pictures up
yeah,
of things we've lost
Mhm.
yeah.
as maybe a way to touch people's hearts about the buildings and kind of lost history.
I-
Yeah.
I just remembered that for a while on Facebook a few years ago, I was doing something I called used to be's.
Used
And
to-
I'd take a picture of something and I'd say, this used to be that. And people would chime in on Facebook and talk about it.
Yeah.
So,
Because I really enjoyed the photographs around Blue, because I've worked on steel mills as an architect and they're big, they're huge when you get in. You know, the human proportions are just unbelievable. And so the pictures they had were just, they're incredible. And then being black and white, there's a lot of
mhm,
tones,
right.
but of whether they could be color or not. But just I thought of photographs of, but having some place where we could exhibit them, whether it's in hallway,
Mhm. And then
something,
put them online for
something where people could
perpetuity,
see 'em.
but have an exhibit would be nice. Yeah.
It's starting to collect those. Maybe we could talk to Heather about putting them in a file or something. We could
Mhm.
get different, whether black and white or color, or even the video like those that's pretty cool watching how they took that thing apart. Yeah. And the pieces, their pieces are weighing tons. But we've had like car plants and we had the shotgun plant. They're gone. The armory
Yeah,
would be a good one to put
Mhm.
on the wall.
Mhm.
there used to be of that one.
Mhm. Is that the one they moved up the street? It was. Okay,
Oh, there's
but I think that would be good to, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, that makes me want to get my camera out and do more,
more photography.
like taking pictures thing.
The Easy Street.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah.
In fact, we should get them to, if they haven't already applied to put a sign up, right? Because it's
Yeah.
one of the most historic in
Mhm.
terms,
Mhm,
we've still got the old ceiling and the,
mhm. Hmm.
Mm-mm.
That'd be interesting.
Mhm.
Because I even watched in 1978, the snowstorm. And some of
Mhm.
the pictures in there of the building, some of the old history of 59.
Yeah,
How
that's great.
long is that video?
oh,
I think we should. What? We
yeah.
should all watch it
That's a lot of
sometime,
information.
just for
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
That could be a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, 60
Yeah.
years ago. Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
Great.
Fascinating.
Look for that one. Really quick, I have a question for Martha. It kind of pertains to our future workshops. Just as we're planning stuff for the summer, fall, do we have a date of when we'll be out of this room?
Not exactly.
Okay.
There's a part for something that's pretty critical that is a supply chain problem.
Mhm.
And it's been on order since I think October and it's not.
Yeah.
So that
Elevators.
that one item is preventing us from having a solid date.
Okay.
But I would anticipate that in July, you might want to think about meeting someplace else.
Okay.
Because
And do we-
that's probably going to be,
We've been able to schedule things for this room. We've been able to relatively easily, there's certain things we know happen each month. Do we anticipate that changing when in the new location?
it actually be a lot better.
Okay, great.
There's a large conference room that is wired with, all of the things to do live streaming. There's a number of smaller conference rooms. There's council chambers, just a lot more places to have meetings.
Great. Okay. It'll be easier.
Yep.
Good to know. Okay. I just want to know that as we're planning
Sure.
stuff for the latter
Exactly.
half of the year.
Yep.
Okay, great. Do we have anything else?
Thank you for being here.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank
thank
you,
you.
Martha.
Thanks for being nice to
Appreciate you being here today. And thank Matt for getting us online.
Yeah. Oh, I will.
Yeah. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Second.
Hey, we are adjourned.
Very good.